Well, hello there, Masky peeps. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you hear me okay. I can't really hear myself too well. Anyway, it's Friday, January 19th, year 2024. Thank you for watching. I know it's been a little while since I made a channel or made a video. My apologies. It's been a crazy couple weeks for me. And actually, believe it or not, I think this healthy guy who eats super healthy might have had COVID. Yeah, because COVID is bouncing back. If so, it's a mild case, but I still have the effects of it if I do. I don't know. I rarely get sick. I haven't had something like the flu in probably 20 years. Last time I got the flu was a long time ago, and I spent a couple days in bed because I was very sick. Probably back in my 30s, I think it was. And I haven't even had a cold in a long time. But something hit me, called bam, hard. And I started feeling a little bit on Sunday night and spent the entire day on Monday, not this past Monday, 2 Mondays ago, in bed. Because my energy was zapped. If someone said, "What are your symptoms?" I lost my energy. I don't have any energy. I wasn't congested. I wasn't stuffy. I wasn't feverish on that first day at all. I just lost my energy completely, like where I was sleeping. Subsequent days, I got a little bit of fever, little bit of sinus issues, but by 3-4 days, all the major issues were cleared up. But now it's like my my ears are. So anyway, if I sound a little too loud, my apologies. If I sound a little too soft, my apologies. But I had a viewer comment on one of my videos from yesteryear asking my cash on cash return for my Gary properties. So I am here to oblige. I'm going to do a several part video segment talking about leading in, culminating in my actual cash on cash return for my houses in Gary, Indiana. Okay? But I did not start in Gary, Indiana. Nope. Mazske started in Virginia. That's where Mazske was residing. I bought in my backyard. People say you cannot buy in your backyard. I lived on the East Coast of the United States. I bought in my backyard. Oh, Mazske, that's when interest rates were lower. Well, by golly, when I bought, they didn't seem low to me. People always make excuses. People that say they can't buy a rental property right now in 2024 are making excuses. I know, rates are high. Oh, big whip. They're what, 7%, 8%? I did a public speaking class back in the early 1990s, and I was talking about interest rates being 14%. People still bought houses back then. I bought my first house in Virginia probably at 9%, 9.5%. I don't remember exactly what it was. I refinanced along the way and got it down to 7. I refinanced again and got it down to 5. And then I ended up paying it off. So I could have refinanced, probably got it into 4s, but I ended up paying it off. So anyway, I bought my first rental property in the Shenandoah Valley in Virginia. Okay? I did not have any money. I was a cop. I was a police officer. I had raised 2 kids. My wife was working in, but my house was paid off, so I had a little bit extra money, but I didn't have a lot of money in the bank. So what did I do? I got a HELOC on my primary residence for $30,000. Maximum HELOC balance, $30,000. And I found my first rental property. I looked at about a dozen houses that first day. Exactly a dozen houses, I believe. Picked one out that I felt would become the best rental property out of the 12, meaning it needed the least amount of work and it was move-in ready, and it was a fairly new house. It had been built in 1997. This was in 2017. Maybe in 2016 when I first saw it. But I closed on the house on January 17th of 2017. Okay, that was my first rental property. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't read any real estate books. I didn't watch any YouTube channels. Didn't know what I was doing. Got my first tenant. She promptly stopped paying rent. She knew what she was doing. I had to evict her. I did not like that. Very first tenant ever had to evict her. I served her 5-day pay or quit notice. I went down to the sheriff's department and got the unlawful detainer. I showed up in court. after it was ruled in my favor, I went to the sheriff's department, got an appointment to have her set out. I showed up when the deputies came out there, and from start to finish, I rented to her, I evicted her, I got her out. And then I said, Mazske, you got to figure out what you're doing. And I learned what to do, and I learned how to screen tenants, and I found a nice family. I rented to them. So by June, I bought in January, had to do a little work, rented probably in March, and by May, I was evicting. So by June, July, August, I started getting some rent checks in for the first time, which means I had to pay that mortgage and pay my HELOC down, okay? And then I started saying, maybe I'll get a second one. And I found a second rental property in the Shenandoah Valley in Virginia, closed on it in December of 2017. So at the end of that first year, I bought one house in January, one in December. I had 2 single-family homes. I rented a house starting around on or about January 1st of 2018. I started getting a rent check in. I like getting a rent check in. I figured out how to properly market the house, screen tenants, show the house, and I then rented to that family, husband and wife, couple. Then I got my idea. I found Bigger Pockets by that time, biggerpockets.com. And they were all to talk about multifamily, buy multifamily, buy multifamily. So I called up my trusty real estate agent and said, are there any duplexes, triplexes, or quadplexes available in this area for sale? And she says something to the effect, not very many. This is a small area, because it was in the Shenandoah Valley, it was a small area. And most landlords that own them, they don't sell them. They hold on to them. I said, okay. But then she's like, but I'll check. She called me back a couple days later and said, I found a potential triplex, 3 apartments. So I went there. I looked at it. From outward appearances, it was a nice building. It looked like a duplex from the front, like townhouses. It was brick on the front. It was 2-story. You could see on the front. Looking at it, had a parking lot, no grass, just a parking lot on the front. But the rear entrance had its own separate entrance off an alleyway around back. Again, no grass. And it had the entire basement apartment across underneath both of those upstairs apartments. So they were all identical square footage. And they were all 3 something like 1,100, 1,200 square feet, I think. Maybe not quite that big. I can't remember now. They were 2 bedrooms, 1.5 bath. The ones upstairs had 2 levels to them. Downstairs was just all 1 level. And so I closed on it something like May 31st, I think. Because on June 1st, the very next day after closing, I got 3 rent checks. And it was under market value. And the tenants were bad tenants. And the triplex needed a lot of work. It had Band-Aids on it, basically. And so anyway, as the next couple months went by, one tenant decided to want to move out. And I said, let me try to rehab this apartment a little bit. And I did some basic work to it. I painted it, steam cleaned the carpet. I didn't have a lot of money. And got in a better tenant. An actual good tenant. Got him in there. Then I got the idea in my mind, I need to rehab those upstairs apartments. And by this time I found a better contractor. And so a couple months went by, so I got some more rent checks in. And I ended up not renewing a lease for one of the apartments. And I started rehabbing it. And then I did the same for the next upstairs apartment. And when I did that, I completely rehabbed it. I put down luxury vinyl plank. I bought new stoves, new refrigerators. They didn't have dishwashers. Painted it completely. Fixed plumbing. I've changed some piping in there. Fixed some minor electrical stuff. Outside, I sealed both front and back parking lots. I rebuilt side fences. Did all that. Painted outside where it needed some painting, but it was brick a lot, but I did a little bit of painting. And then I did both those upstairs apartments over a period of months. My tenant I found for the basement apartment moved into one of my upstairs apartments, so I got another tenant in the basement apartment, and I rehabbed that basement apartment. So I had the entire building had been rehabbed, and rent went from like $600 a month up to about $1,000 a month per apartment. So that was pretty nice. So anyway, that was May of 2018. By August of 2018, again through Bigger Pockets, I decided to buy out of state because I said I can't keep buying properties here in Virginia. It's too expensive. I didn't want to save up that down payment because I was using that HELOC to assist me in two properties. I used the HELOC to assist me in the down payment. The triplex, how I bought that real quick. I retired from being a cop April 1st, 2018. I had a 457 plan, which was kind of like a 401k. I had saved in that 457 plan for 20 years. April 1st or April 2nd, I called up the custodian for the plan. I said, I'm retired. I want to withdraw the entire balance. They said, we have to hold out federal and state tax. So they did. And they mailed me a check. And the check was about $45,000, and the down payment on that triplex was about $45,000. I bought it for $199,500 or something like that. So $200,000. So that $45,000-ish paid my down payment. So when I got my mind about buying out of state using Bigger Pockets. I found a contact on Bigger Pockets, and I went to Birmingham, Alabama, and I ended up buying a house in Birmingham, Alabama. Again, I used my HELOC to assist me with that down payment, but the house only cost me like 30 or 35,000, 32, 35, 35,000-ish. So when I wrapped up 2018, I had 3 single-family homes and I had a triplex. So I had 6 units in 2 years. I had no plans on where I wanted to go. I had no idea I was going to go to Gary, Indiana. I just knew Mazske had 6 units. I thought I was doing pretty good. 6 units in 2 years. Again, by that time I might have found Bigger Pockets, but I wasn't really watching YouTube, I don't think. But I was just thinking 6 units in 2 years. But then in 2019, I found Gary, Indiana. And that's going to lead me to a subsequent video, maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day. And I will talk more about how I found Gary, Indiana. I will talk about how I got my first several houses in Gary, Indiana. And I will culminate the video, it may take a third video, talking about the actual rents and cash on cash return of all of my Gary houses. And out of my first houses, I may share that with you. I'll share it with you along the way. Because out of those first houses, I still have my very first rental house in the Shenandoah Valley in Virginia. I still own that one. I have refinanced that along the way and did a cashback refinance. I sold my second rental property. I sold my triplex. And I sold that house in Birmingham in subsequent years, more recent times. Okay? But in 2019 is when I sort of took off. 6 units in 2 years. And then I got a bunch in 2019, and I got a bunch more in 2020. And by the time 2020 ended, I had 25 rental units. So I went from 0 units, not knowing what I was doing, to owning 25 rental units in just under 4 years. Okay? So when you watch other YouTubers and they say, I'm the king of Gary, they're not. I know a gentleman that has flipped a couple thousand houses in Gary. He now owns a couple hundred houses, I believe, in Gary. I know another individual who owned about 500 houses around Gary. I own 20 houses in Gary. There's no king in the United States of America. There's no king in Gary. There used to be a king of pop. The king of pop was from Gary, Indiana. That was Michael Jackson, right? The king of pop. He's from Gary, Indiana, his family. I've been to that house. I've looked at that house. Not inside, I've looked at it from the outside. So I've seen that. So he's the king of pop. But besides the king of pop, and he's now deceased, there's no king in the United States of America. We do not have royalty. We have a democratic judicial system. We vote for our leaders. There's nobody appointed. There's no president. There is a president, but there's no king. Okay, so don't be misled by anybody who says they're a king. If they say they're a king, they're on their way to becoming a guru, and you know about gurus. We do not pay attention to gurus. You got to watch the guys and gals who've been through the nitty-gritty, the grind, like me, Not that I am the best at anything. I'm still learning. I'm still the little guy. I'm just the blue collar guy. I'm not going to live forever, but I'm trying to share the knowledge up here to help each and every one of you. I've said this to my mastermind group, and I don't think they believe me. I want each and every person in my mastermind group to do better than me. I want them to get more rental property than me. I don't want them to get cocky about it, though. I do not like cocky people. I don't want them to get cocky. Don't call themselves a king. That's cocky. Okay? It's narcissistic. Okay? But I want everybody to get more rental property than me. I want them to have a higher net worth than me. And I want them to have more positive cash flow than me. I am on record on my channel, with my channel. I have a goal of getting to $25,000 a month positive cash flow. Okay? I think for me to do that, my net worth will have to be somewhere between 2.5 million to 3.5 million. But just to be safe, I want to get up to a net worth of about $5 million. Okay? Which is, believe it or not, is not that hard to do. I don't care if you have a negative net worth right now. It's not that hard to do. There's no reason why, any one of you should not get a net worth of $1 million in the next 2-3 years. No reason at all. You can do it if you want to. If you truly want to, you can do it. I got confidence in you. I have faith in you. If you contact me and say, Mazske, I don't know where to buy at, I'm not going to tell you to go to Gary. You can look at Gary if you want to. You can look at the Shenandoah Valley. You can look at Florida. I got a house in Florida. You can look at Chicago. I got a house in Chicago. Ended up buying a couple houses in Birmingham. You can look at Birmingham. You can look at Kansas City. You can look wherever you want. You can talk to whatever lender you want. I've had a lender on my channel, Jerry Padilla with Prime Lending. He's interviewed with others. He's in there. You can talk to him. Talk to your local credit union. Talk to other lenders. Talk to hard money lenders. Talk to private money. Once you get to $1 million, you can also branch out. You can start buying mineral rights acres. You can buy syndications. You can buy companies and businesses. There's so much more you can do. On my channel, as time goes on, and all my 600 videos in the past, I have talked about how I've done all of this. I've talked about buying alternative investments. I've talked about living frugal. I've talked about experimenting buying crypto. I've bought a tequila distillery investment down in Mexico. I bought a pipeline in the Gulf of Mexico. And it seems like I bought something else too. Something else. Somewhere. Some other kind of investment. All right. So anyways, it's getting long. Sorry about that. Hopefully next time I come back to you, my hearing will be completely back to normal and I will hear my voice appropriately. And hopefully I'm not screaming, because I feel like I'm screaming in this video. All right. So that being said, have a great day. Mazke's signing out.